Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Big Shot Breakdown. We're going to go over 5 college basketball games for Saturday, January 27th, 2024. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your college basketball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my college basketball bank shot best bet, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the games for Saturday in college hoops. First up, we see Georgia and Florida. This one, 12 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be on ESPN2. Pretty interesting game here in the SEC, as this is going to be the third game for Mike White against his former team in the Florida Gators since being the Georgia head coach. Last year, played 2 games. Florida swept the season series. They got the better of Mike White, 10-point win on the road, 7-point win in Gainesville. And in that 7-point win in Gainesville, Georgia shot 50% from 3. The Gators still won comfortably. So it goes to show you, Florida so far dominating Mike White at Georgia. And I think they win this game and cover the number as well. Just don't love this Georgia team. You know, they got a great record of 14-5, and they've been solid in conference play, coming off a nice win against LSU. But on the road here, don't love their chances. They just don't match up well, in my opinion. You know, Florida, number 3 in the country in offensive rebounding percentage, and Georgia's had really big issues with the defensive rebounds. Last year ranked 280th in the country. This year 227, so they're improving, but not by enough. And that was something that the Gators struggled with Mike White at coach. The defensive rebounding percentages weren't great. And I think Florida has a lot of second chance opportunities in this game. Now, Georgia does a good job of getting to the free throw line. They score a good amount of their points from the charity stripe, but so do the Florida Gators. So I do think that evens out a bit. Shot quality wise, I think Florida is the much better team. They obviously have a nice home court advantage in Gainesville, especially facing their former coach, probably some extra motivation there. So I just think Florida, the better side here. I'm going to go with the Florida Gators. I'm going to lay the points. Next up, we see Kansas and Iowa State. This one's going to be 1:30 Eastern. It's going to be on CBS. Certainly one of the better games on the board for Saturday. 2 ranked teams going at it. You know, Iowa State, I got to say, I was really impressed with this team in their last game against Kansas State. It wasn't just, the final score, winning by 11 and covering the number. It was the fact that I don't think the Cyclones played their best game in that game against Kansas State, yet they still won by 11. They still put up 78 points. They still held Kansas State to under 70. Kansas State at 56% from 2-point range. It's pretty steep for the Cyclones defense to be giving up. Kansas State had 23 free throws. Iowa State themselves turned the ball over 15 times. Lipsy had 5 of those turnovers. So like I said, it wasn't the sharpest performance, but that's how good this team is. If they're not, even if they're not playing their best, they can still put up crooked numbers and win games by double digits in conference play. And it just goes to show you how good this home court advantage is for the Cyclones. We saw them already upset Houston earlier this season at home, 57-53. I like their chances to win this game. Kansas not in great form. They lost outright to West Virginia not too long ago. They lost outright to UCF. Both of those games, by the way, were in true road games. And then last time out against Cincinnati, while they won, they didn't cover. They really didn't have too much of a chance at covering either. It was a pretty close game throughout. Fundamentally, I think Iowa State has the big advantage in this game. Kansas this year, more so than in previous seasons, has had some issues turning the ball over. Not the best offensive rebounding team. Doesn't really get to the free throw line much. Shot quality-wise, I think Iowa State is the much better team in this game, especially defensively. And like I said, great home court, one of the best home court advantages in Power 5, Power 6 college basketball. I like Iowa State to grab a statement win here. I'm going to lay the points with the Cyclones. Next up, we see Alcorn and Florida A&M in the SWAC. This one's going to be 4 p.m. Eastern. Both of these teams have struggled this year. Alcorn's at 3-15 overall and 2-3 in conference play. Florida A&M is at 3-13, but they are 1-4 in conference play. But both teams are coming off wins in their last games. A&M beat Mississippi Valley State by 11, and Alcorn beat Prairie View A&M by 12. I think Alcorn's win a lot more impressive. We know Mississippi Valley State is ranked the worst team in college basketball in the KenPom ratings. They have not won a game this year. And Alcorn scoring 90 points against a Prairie View A&M defense is not easy to do. That's a very aggressive defense. Alcorn was well on its way to 100-plus points in that game. They just had a sluggish end of that one, only scoring 15 points in the final 10 minutes. But Alcorn was dominant offensively, and I think going forward, this is a team I'd watch out for in this conference. So this is a team that's had a lot of success in this conference the last couple of years. They've proven they can go on the road and win games, and that's where we find them in this game on the road. Alcorn, in that game against Prairie View A&M, they really weren't relying on tough shots like we've seen at different parts of this season. Alcorn was scoring more sustainable buckets at the free throw line, in the paint. They were 70% from 2-point range, 25 of 36. Like I said, a lot of layups and dunks for Alcorn in that ball game. They were really dominant in the paint. And against a Florida A&M defense that's ranked 347th in two-point defense and 337th in adjusted defensive efficiency, I think the Braves have a big day offensively again here. Fundamentally, Alcorn is the much better team. This is a team that takes care of the ball a lot better than most SWAC teams do. They're a very good offensive rebounding team, and they get to the free throw line pretty well. all those things you can't say about Florida A&M. They just haven't done those this season. While they're the number one and toughest non-conference schedule this year, Alcorn's right there playing the fifth toughest. So both teams are battle tested. I think Alcorn's just the more talented team, and I just think they're the better team in general. I mean, this is a team that's got experience playing in SWAC basketball. They've got not only guys like Byron Joshua, but some transfers from Prairie View A&M and the Jeremiahs and Kendall and Graham Burrell. So this is a team that's built for the SWAC. I think this is a team that you watch out for as we near conference tournament play. I think they could pull off some upsets, but give me Alcorn in this one on the road. Next up, we see Boise State and Utah State. This one 4 p.m. Eastern as well. It's funny, in this matchup, I think about, with Boise State at home especially, I think about the Grim Reaper meme we often see in playoff runs in pro sports, where the Grim Reaper goes door to door with his scythe and takes care of business of each team along the way in the run. And I think Boise State's done that at home this year in their step-up games against these top 100 teams. We saw that earlier in non-conference play, where they played San Francisco and North Texas, and St. Mary's was a semi-home game, but they won all three of those games against really solid teams. And then in conference play so far, they beat Colorado State and San Diego State, two more top 40 teams, and San Diego State went to the national championship last year. So Boise State's just taking care of business at home. They only have one home loss this year. It was an upset loss to UNLV, and it was a game probably where Boise State was underestimating a pretty solid running Rebels team. But going forward, I think Boise State really tough to beat at home. A lot of these Mountain West teams have great home court advantages. Boise State is certainly one of them. And Utah State, to me, they just haven't really been tested too much on the road. When they've really stepped it up, they have not done too well. We saw them lose to Bradley outright at the beginning of the season in non-conference play. Then they played some teams outside the top 100 in true road games like St. Louis and UNLV, and they were able to win some of those games. They only beat UNLV by one, but in their last game against a really solid team in the pit in New Mexico, Utah State did not play well. They lost. Not only did they lose, but they lost. They gave up 99 points in a 13-point loss. So I don't trust Utah State on the road in this game, especially in a tough environment. I do think Boise State, shot quality-wise, can certainly compete with this very good Utah State Aggies team. I think it's going to be a competitive game, but I think Boise State too much at home in the end. Give me the Broncos to continue winning at home in conference play. Next up, we see Arizona State taking on Oregon State. This one's going to be a 7 p.m. Eastern start time on the Pac-12 Network. Oregon State, they're coming off a huge upset win over Arizona, 83-80, the final score, a buzzer-beating win for the Beavers. Jordan Pope, he had a great game. He was 5 of 8 from 3. He made the game-winning shot from three-point range. He was 31 points in that one. And Oregon State as a team, 12 of 20 from 3, 60% compared to 21.4% for Arizona, 3 of 14 from the perimeter. So 60 versus 21, and you only win the game by 3 at the buzzer. It goes to show you this is still not a very good Oregon State team. It was a perfect storm at home for them, and great. And give them credit for a huge win for the program. But this is still a team that lost its previous 5 or 6 games. It was last 5 games before that win over Arizona, and I think this is a classic letdown spot. We're getting a great price fading Oregon State after that huge win in this ball game. Neither of these teams are great on the glass, so I don't think either team has an advantage or disadvantage rebounding wise. But Arizona State certainly the much more fundamentally sound team in the turnover department, both offensively and defensively. Shot quality wise, Arizona State the much better team, getting much better looks, and the defense I trust a lot more as well. I think they have the coaching advantage also. I'm going to take Arizona State in this one. I'm going to take them on the road. And that's it. Those are the games for Saturday in college basketball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your college basketball picks in the comment section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.